basically telling you that on the outside I'm getting all the points, but realistically, in detail, I'm gonna list the number of characters that got affected by my mom, Lily, how they got out of a turmoil. So um, we're gonna start off with Asagiri again. All right, so Lily was a promo. Lily, he was a stale. Lily, he was a frontier. Lily for the first 2 rounds, which I'm currently, a part of. All right, because where Asagiri again was first of all on Doctor Stone, he was a mentalist, a con artist. All right, he was meant to fool people literally through poker. So I said poker and I used him on purpose. And C was alive, so he had no idea I used him. But in the continuity, I got so fucked up, and lesbian cops, people, regular cops play his game. That it's different once he wakes up. All right, because once he wakes up, literally, they call out that somebody's aware that they're abusing the situation, not allowing somebody to fight back. I call it bullshit because of what I went through, with straightforward, in public school, but also, what I knew. So what happened to Asagir again, right? Lily throughout 29 was the Astro. That was the year Lily was to flip the R at the end, call me a girly man. But again, what comes to the whole continuity because there's 2 rounds, something happened to him, alright? It's because when I playing Joker, he got this mantle. There's all types of PG that goes on and then say something, but where it came to him, he stayed steady, literally, and Zane had the same thing too. Zane got his ass whooped, but he remained in two position, which means that when I cut the situation in half, Zane was still there. And again, there was a whole season again that was still ongoing with Dr. Stone, season 4. And what happened to him was he got dismantled but kept the same peace but kept his composure. So what happened again was Gen got just literally he was supposed to be a smart aleck, 2 versus 8 mentality, but in the context of knowing that it's 2 rounds, what is Gen? So Gen remained prominent, but Big O, what did Big O do? Big O turned into a serial talker. Alright? Alright, so what Big O was he was a symbolism that I was a mob boss for Zero, that I could have summer parties every night. And what Big O did, to continuity, was I actually played Big O at the nightclub, with Reese and, Michael's older brother Alex. And what happened to Big O, literally, is I had this amazing journey, literally. At the end when they played Big O, 29 was all about it. It had an up and down. And we all know that one part. Literally, those fucking horrendous that had somebody literally that went up and ended on a cliffhanger. Literally, was pissing me off doing the whole Chris Brown doing out, literally not being able to talk to one single subscriber, one single fan. And there's gonna be another video about that's because teenage people that grew up in the 2000s are obsessed with playing game, and their gang blood doesn't let you do things outside of playing game, and that's why I call them mentally ill, because they didn't want to do anything real. They just wanted to act cool, literally. And the way you break that, literally, is a grown man. And the joke I've been trying to say on YouTube for 1,000 times, literally, was gangsters don't put themselves in a position where people can automatically, play the police, call the police, because they put themselves in situations literally where they can maneuver, where they know everything, right? It's either down the pen, and a gangster can make, his way in the pen because they're fool, because their lifestyle, because you don't believe in shit. When I make you a gangster, I make you a mythical being that doesn't believe in shit. So when you go to places like the pen, your abusive girlfriend, you feel like it goes hand in hand in one of the same with who you are, as an actual person. Um, which is BS. So, the truth of it is, all right. So there's Mandy. So Mandy literally is she knows more than me in the Call of Duty. She's a clobber. That means as soon as they were clobbering, but she has the reverse psychology of Asagir again. All right, that's one of them. All right. I don't know if Lucy's one of them. There's Masquerade. Masquerade totally literally stood out in front of the Call of Duty because I was a real person, because I was going through real shit. All right, literally. Masquerade got turned to Butter's eye in terms of what happened, with me and my mom. But to be real, all right, literally, even if Masquerade was the most prominent figure in Bakugan, she still told me to go back to school. All right, Rio got dismantled, out of context, literally, with my mom, literally. And the reason why I'm saying is because people know that there's 2 rounds, right? Well, I don't know what the first round ends on, literally. And you know what was difficult for me because I have Asperger's, literally. My first round couldn't end, literally, because the police saw the same thing, the gangsters saw the same thing. They want you to get real shit, all right? Now, when it comes down to it, all right, literally, there's multiple people who was their group of like Karen from Ed, and that days, literally that manga days, and every single, up 29 pissed me off, all right. And at 30, literally, I got dismantled because they went into, muscle weighs more than fat. And, oh my God, I love you, Morgan. Oh my God. Okay, so, the truth of it is that, um, when it came to Las Vegas, a con and a half, I went to the Flamingo, I had the whole thing, with two Flamingo, dope Flamingo, so there's more than Shun. What Shun did was Shun actually, gave me validation, hopefully you can watch this again, because Shun, um, um, gave me, a hint and a signal because he threw a ninja storm. I did the exact same sequence as Shin, literally, at the, sounds they playing when I was with my dead mom, literally, when I hopped down, literally, because there was an episode, and, I knew already gagging the Beecher family. She's the one who kissed my sweet tarts. So my mom in the family is fourth, and now Lisa is fifth. And once he took over Tommy, literally, she kept on calling out that he was physically strong, literally, and she kept on fucking with the autistic count purposely, kept on spamming that the Beecher family is a real family, right? Literally, so what ends up happening when she's a little girl, when she pisses Tommy off, literally, she walks around like, "What you doing?" Way more, annoying and infamous than when I, portray as Isabella from Phineas and Ferb. All right, so there was there is more to that, Lily. And what happens is Shin beats him, that battle, but he doesn't beat her, Lily, when he's depressed, but he beats her as soon as he gets serious, all right? So, Shin. So it's asking her again, this Shin, Lily, as Lucy, there's a running gag, with Devil's a part-timer, Lily, with Jennifer from freshman year. They, she's getting over, but the most message I'm trying to speak to you guys, Lily, it was I had, a really, really bad time at Alpha Mega. I mean, Lily, they made some Fruit Loops, Lily, bowls in the morning, let me know everything was fucking confirmed. Now, how can I recreate those events, Lily? But what I'm telling you, 31, Lily, wasn't in my favor because the Mandalorian or Grogu, Lily, surpassing Grandma's game all the time. Using Grandma, Lily, and not getting shit is infuriating, all right? So now it's time for, perfect delirious video. You see that Tut and Mr. Young being the perfect Tut and the best in Tut pisses me off, alright? You see a girl covered in mud? Literally, I can tell, literally, that's counterfloss. All this shit every single fucking day. Literally, so much for one round. Alright, look at Echo's fine ass. Literally, could be finer. Literally, that's the problem. Literally, and the thing you don't know is that Echo's connected to Jackie and no one fucking gets it, alright? Literally, and I'm so smart enough to say, literally, when I'm playing that song, don't play that belligerent song in front of me. That's all about making love and shit. That's what I want to do. You're gonna start now. Not like it's happening. So it's true. It's completely fucking true. Literally, people don't get my fucking lingo, and I know that cops are this racist and that's piece of shit. Not all of them. Officers trained, in many ways, shapes, and form, to tackle a criminal. But I used to know somebody used to, talk shit to, an officer, and his name was Armand. When he was handcuffed, he called out, his mom, his wife and shit, and I don't do that. And what I do is I play out the system where it comes to, specifically good behavior, all right, Lily. And then other cops, trip those cops on Samurai, and I don't want to speak about that again, but, I'm talking about right now. So the animation for Egghead Island arc, it was actually pretty good. All right, so when the group home and fabulously, this is half checking, half what I know about the shit. So when it came to Tapion, I proved, in the past ARO battles that, it's not about, changing your flow 100%. It's making you imagine shit, which is a part of changing your flow, which is the Espanol, which is the fucking key definition that I've been going on for 4 years, including World New Year's Fairy Tale came back, literally, and there's a routine I used to do in high school that literally makes me fat, and it's doing dips. And what dips are is when you press your triceps literally against the steps, literally, and you do a push-up literally with your back, all right? And what dips are is they help with your triceps, and what triceps are, they're the other part of your arm that help you with your hook, all right? So with those, when I work on my triceps every day, literally, that's why I'm drawing Nas comics 24/7 on top of candy. But then I realize that there's gonna be a whole nother thing that to see how I'm playing off of all that. Literally, I'm digitizing like the Future Reborn, but I'm not doing nearly as much shit as I could be doing. There's gonna be a whole nother video about why Blackfire actually works and why it doesn't in Cat Story 2. All right, so that's one of them. All right, and it's horrible. I hear a little girl, talking to NASA. Lily gets destroyed. Lily, I hear super bad. Lily, that's too much shit on TV. I just saw 2 music videos that went through and it wasn't shit. All right, and the truth of it is, all right, what came to Illusory Britannia, it was a really epic, corny sequence. All right, and I'm glad that Lily people care, it makes you feel hurt worthy, but YouTube is a business, and when it came to Agent 00, I just heard him, talk about my channel to a girl. All right, so it's true. Lily, I'm like, when it comes to socializing, I know Lily is for a specific age. It's not to go to past junior high. Because of what it is, all right, Lily. And the reason why it's petty is because it's a one-fifth principle, and this to go everywhere like San Francisco, and that's another thing. And when the Haku albums that came out, that's when really I had beef back in the day, with India, with Candy being ghetto. Because one thing that I didn't like is that I was a black kid growing up, on the internet when my mom told me to be ghetto. It's true, and when she put herself in a position, literally, when she was an accountant, always going to college, and she put herself in an ultimate situation to roasted by a street smart and a counteract, street statement gangster that's ignorant. Well, she can't do that shit, to a gangster up front, because then he'll rock her. All right, it's true, literally. She can feel the grand street statement, to autistic kid. I'm like, I'll just give it up already, and and think about samurai jack and why it's bad, and the reason why being black is so deadly the best response because your samurai jack is as strong as the universe. um Back in the day of Bobo, it's really got out of hand. When it comes to Helen and Big Mama's house, really, I was more famous. Do you think with that kid power originally, has something to do with the Warriors? It's all that people convince you that Lily, when you go to the store, you're a celebrity, you go this and that, and I was only trained in society without emphasis due to my family. All right, Lily, and it's crazy. I do shit every day that actually makes a difference. Lily, why I don't see a police up front, literally, all because of people are scared. People are scared to be real people, literally. And gangster pushing up and shit like there's no real people. There's this government conspiracy theories, and I had to, I had to let it go. And to cut this video short, I used to look at Keisha Cole's titties in a music video, with Sunny, but I know something about it, all right. And I feel like that's ghetto, having them actually, laying around, and you need to think about it, literally fucking the reason why I was 3 years of terror was I was stuck in the house with the same running gag of my family where I'm used to going out literally the people were dressed up in costumes like Goku literally being a celebrity, all right? And that's just one of them, and two, I was really proud of lesbian cops when it comes to art back to Stupid and Chris. And so I'm gonna make another video saying that Kimmy becomes school, but more importantly Babylon, all right? The most important part about why you can't talk about, a girl, Dominic, they convince you that no one eats real food. Lily, when Samoans are forced to eat real food. Lily, and when it comes to Bobby, Lily, they are on some shit like Lou Ayres could be in a fight. And what I explained to you, I'm like, bruh, get that fucking fantasy out of here, Lily, because Bobby knows how to throw a hook. Even if, Ayres kicks aside, he benches 400 pounds literally. He knows how to throw a hook, which is way more detrimental to a fucking Japanese behind him and any fucking AIDS behind an adult's comprehension. Okay, so literally, that's why I do tell lesbian cop. I go to actually difference about basketball and shit when they try to manipulate me, through sex. I'm like, it's stupid. It's the stupidest shit in the whole wide world. Why can't 1-2 click literally? And then you convince people like Jesse. You convince a lot of people literally that playing off of your shit, being split spot with the police is better than, turning yourself in. I don't know how many times they told, my mom, her name was Pumpkin. The fucking just let the police take you, and you guess what? Literally, guess what? They're castrated too. The police can take her because they're controlling the situation on the inside. So this is really horrendous. When I think about Trunks and Super Saiyan, 3 when he went buff against Cell, I think about how I got fat, and it's true. It's out of there because what I think about Naruto, I'm like, man, I grew up with Naruto literally at the time when it was the apocalypse. So I really think, I've grown, throughout all these years because of, the fact that, the reason why I blew up was because of the internet, but the reason why I grew up was because of loving God. I mean, literally, try being in my shoes, literally fucking, going to each and every generation, literally, and people don't do that shit, So, I beat people over my age. I used to copy, Robert Jackson, literally, man, you didn't let me to studio shit, literally, I was 29, literally, I was fucking 27, being over 35-year-old's ass, over fucking, 37-year-old's ass, literally, I was doing all that shit, fucking, And when it came to the song, it pissed me off. But every single thing I did right in front of my mom, Lily, and every single thing that came out of her mouth was an oxymoron. But still, you got hit with a toaster oven at 30, and your fucking cousin at 30. But what was more important was the fact that I was doing the right thing, and that happens to good people doing the right thing. So how I feel. The reason why I'm 31, without a car, when it's supposed to be around the corner, is the fact that literally it's the uncle, literally, because what the uncle wants out of society, he raises you literally to be with one woman and shit like that. And when you're distracted by all these things like teenage propaganda, that's what Adrian's mom literally told you. Right now, it's not an excuse. Why is it not an excuse? For it used to be, a big excuse because literally the fact you want to connect humans to the monkeys. So this is the highest thing where you have the highest thing on the radio. Literally, you go through all this, you play with monkeys in a cage, and you're stuck with no car. Literally, and so that's when Asperger's kicks in. You recognize when Chris's car is broken down, and then he literally you fucking hear conversations about how he got fired from his job and how he's in debt, and then he tells you a new car just for a lesbian cop to inflict frequency. I don't know what's with these retarded people. I say it all the time, literally, because they are obsessed with what you can physically do with a gangster versus common sense. I'm like, man, you gotta let this shit go. A real gangster literally is gonna be more strategic. And I remember Karama Big Top saying himself about woman, like a woman or checker players are made of chess players. So it's true. Literally, if you know chess is actually a memorization. To street clock. Literally, an artifact is stupid. And autistic person got to do it at will. But that's the beauty of chess, and that's important in the old world. So I'm like, you don't like it, beat it. I'm like, and that's crazy. I read a couple of women, so I don't know how it feels like hiding behind the book, knowing the other person's style. But anyway, this is a quickie. That guy looks like Dachi. I'm out.